Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new episode of the Farming Adventure. In this episode we'll take a look at which farms I have exited, which farms I'm still using, if DinoSwap is still an interesting farm, and what else we can expect from Qi-Dao in the future. If you like the sound of that, be sure to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. As usual, we are starting on Aave. So on Aave I locked up my USDC, it's about 15k in USDC. I am receiving 2.8 APY plus a 1% bonus on top of that in Matic rewards. I'm borrowing against it a little over 10,000 USDT and I'm paying 6.7% on it, but I'm also receiving 4.4 APR in Matic rewards. Now, one of the viewers, he asked me, why the hell are you borrowing and not just using your USDC? Well, initially the interest I had to pay was lower than the Matic rewards that I was getting on this loan. So on average, I was actually being paid to loan this money. Nowadays, some days I'm getting more in rewards than I have to pay on interest, but I've also had a few days where I have to pay significantly more in interest to borrow this USDT, so I'm thinking of reevaluating the situation. But I'll get back to this later in this video when I'm taking a closer look at Qi-Dao and what we can do on that platform. First up is Polycat Finance. As you can see, I pulled out all my liquidity, but I kept some fish in my wallet. Now, why did I pull all liquidity? Well, basically, fish has reached the max supply of 3 million. This means no more fish will ever be minted. This is why APRs are now showing 0. So yes, even if you have still liquidity in these pools, you'll be receiving 0 APY. Of course, you'll still be getting some exchange fees on QuickSwap and so forth, but I don't think that is worth it to keep your liquidity in there. So I suggest pulling it. If you want to keep the fish token, that's entirely up to you. Moving over to the Polycat Finance Medium post, we get a little bit more information about what's going on. So right now we already reached the 3 million fish. This is a hard cap, no more fish tokens will be created. Now, why would you want to hold on to the fish token? This is the main reason. Fish will always be our main token. The new token is the PAW token, and what's going on? Well, with the PAW token comes a Polycat Finance DEX, and then we arrive on the first interesting part. The fee distribution on this Polycat Finance DEX is 0.1% will go to the liquidity provider, 0.12% will go to burning the new token, which is the PAW token, and 0.02% goes to burning fish. But as you know, we already reached the maximum supply. This means that the token will be deflationary. Scrolling down some more, we see that the fish token is actually now a governance token, and their first vote that they're going to do is what to do with the 4.5% performance fee of regular vaults. And the good news is, it has been voted that this performance fee will be used to pay dividends to fish holders. So this is another reason why you might be interested in holding on to the fish token. This is what the new website looks like, and soon we will have some new farms with which we can earn some PAW tokens. So as soon as that is live, I will be sure to include it in a video. The next farm I decided to exit was the Kunai farm. The returns were still interesting, but sadly the liquidity was drying up. As you can see in the Kunai liquidity pools, we have only $1,000 in Kunai Matic, $1,300 in Kunai USDC, and so forth. So yeah, that's way too little liquidity for me, so I pulled out my tokens and exchanged those Kunai tokens for USDC. When it comes to the liquidity itself, I parked it over at QuickSwap. So right now I have ETH USDC and Matic USDC, and I'm getting 23% and 42%, which is of course nothing to be ashamed of. I leave this liquidity here until I find a better farm. Now it's time to take a look at the farms that stayed the same. So my main farm right now is the DinoSwap fossil farm. As you can see, it has grown nicely from $5,000 up to $6,500, and I still have 127 US dollar in Dino rewards to be farmed. And of course, I'll be reinvesting them again. But as you can see, as the farm is getting more popular, the APR is going down, but 700% of course is still insane. So I'll be leaving my Dino USDC tokens in there for a longer time. Now, in general, the longer you stay in a farm, the riskier it gets. At some point, people will start dumping the farm token. So right now, Dino, however, is holding up really strong. So initially it launched at about $4, then it dumped and it started increasing, then we had a little dump and then it just kept on increasing. So this is definitely a very interesting chart for a farm token. I have no idea how far it can still go. When we compare this, for example, to Polycat Finance, we see that it launched on the 4th, under $20, then it went all the way up in about a month or so to $60, which is of course a very significant increase. And then it went down all the way back to $5, which is where we are at right now. A normal evolution of a farm token looks like this. It starts high and then it gets dumped on the market. So Polycat Finance and DinoSwap are definitely an exception already, but it is very important that you keep in mind that this is the normal evolution of a farm token. That is why I think it's very important to keep a close eye on the farm itself. So in this case, I keep an eye on liquidity. I've been looking at it almost daily, so it went from 42 million to 36 million. That was a bit alarming, but then it went up again to 39 million, 46 million, 53 million. Now we are at 58 million. Just to show it to you guys visually, I put some numbers in Excel and created this little graph. So basically, the total value locked from Kunai is going down. It's only one way, it's very clear. And when it comes to the total value locked in the Dino farm, we see a little dip here and then it goes all the way up. So this is definitely a more interesting graph and gives me a little bit more confidence in the DinoSwap farm. As with any farm, I do think it is very important to have a plan in place, and especially if you are using a very volatile token like a farming token. So in this case, I am farming Dino. Yes, I know it is looking good, but it's still a farming token, and usually all farming tokens go to zero. That is why I like to keep a close eye on the price of Dino. I'll keep a close eye on the liquidity locked up specifically in a Dino USDC pool, and these metrics will give me an idea if it's not interesting or if it's getting way too risky. In general, I believe the longer that we're in a farm, the riskier the farming token becomes, because this means people are stacking up the token and at some point they want to sell that farming token, because usually farmers are just in there to stack up some tokens, not specifically for the project itself. So it is really risky in that sense that you have a lot of people providing liquidity and they're not necessarily supporting the project itself. When it comes to Dino, it does seem that we have some real Dino fans out there, but it's definitely too early to tell if the token can hold its own. That is why, again, I keep a close eye on the value locked, I keep a close eye on the price, and just from a farming perspective, of course, I want to keep an eye on the APR as well. Right now at 700%, it is definitely super interesting to use this farm. Even if it drops all the way to 200%, that is still an insane return. So as long as the total value locked keeps increasing and as long as the Dino token can hold its price, I will continue to stay in this farm. Now, there is another target that I've set for myself. As soon as we hit $10,000 here in value locked, I will be pulling out some of the funds and de-risking my position. Now, even if I pull some liquidity from the Dino USDC pool, it doesn't mean that I'm going to abandon the project. Because this farm has been so good to me, I'll be definitely keeping some Dino tokens in my wallet just to see what happens. You never know if this is the next pancake swap. Other than that, I'll be looking at the other farms, and if some of them become more interesting, I might, of course, just lock up some Matic Ethereum or USDC Ethereum and so forth, but that is something that I'll evaluate when the time comes. Alright, this brings us to the final farm, and that is, of course, the Qi-Dao farm. I've been in this one the longest. It still has a great APR of over 200%. When it comes to the token itself, it seems right now it's pretty stable just below that $1 mark. I still have 1,100 USD in value locked up. I also said in the introduction that I was thinking of paying back the loan and then maybe moving my funds that I have on Aave. Whether or not I'm going to pull my funds there depends mostly on how the market is going. Right now it's not completely clear that we're starting or continuing the bull run, but as soon as we do, I of course don't want to keep my USDC and I want to exchange it for something else. Now, if I exchange it for Ethereum, I will be definitely taking a look at the Qi-Dao vaults. Now, why would I want to do that? Well, basically, you can borrow against your coins with 0% interest, and that is definitely interesting. So on this platform right now, you can borrow against your Matic, you can borrow against Wrapped Ethereum, Aave, Link, and recently they added Curve. It's definitely the idea to keep adding new coins to the platform on which you can borrow against. So assuming I would lock up $10,000 of Ethereum, I would be able to borrow against it $5,000 in their stablecoin. I could then use that to put it in my favorite farm, harvest some Qi tokens, and then put those tokens into the booster, which right now gives you about 159% in return. As you can see, these guys are working hard to creating a very nice ecosystem that will allow you to compound your funds all in the same platform. So this is why I'm staying in the Qi-Dao system, and this is why I think the Qi-Dao token has some potential in the future. Alright, that's it for this video. Hopefully I'll find the time next week to make a dedicated video on Qi-Dao, because they really have some interesting things going on. If you have an interesting farm as well, just post a comment and I'll take a look at it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to post a comment, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.